On this week's episode, Sydney joins us once again for a discussion on education, both public and elementary and middle school. So stay tuned for what we got this week.
Welcome back to the Third World Podcast. I'm your host, Shaps, and I'm joined by Caleb.
Okay.
And
We mess it up every time.
every time it's epic. And our guest today is, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Sydney.
Sydney. Thank you, Sydney. Caleb's
Did you look
friend
into the
and
camera
home.
as you waved? Okay. We had to make sure that was established.
If you're not viewing or if you're wondering what we're talking about, we have these shorts that go up almost daily, actually.
Yeah.
If you want to keep in mind, you know, like if you want to remember what Caleb looks like, what Sydney looks like, what I look like, you know, I'm just kind of air.
Yeah, we're working on a design for him. That way he can actually be in these shorts.
Be manifested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've touched on how you don't want to be seen in these, in these videos.
I think we did.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah. So welcome to the Third Wheel Podcast, where you're going to be the third wheel in our conversation.
Well, now you're gonna be the fourth wheel because there's three of us. So
I'm sorry.
we have to rebrand our whole show.
I think our audience has to leave then. Goodbye.
Thanks for clicking.
Get out of here.
out.
Get out. We're
Yeah.
going to talk today about homeschooling
In regular schooling
and
because
friend dynamics.
Why did this come up, Sydney? Tell us, please.
As a suggestion, I'm a teacher, so I talk about school a lot, even when I'm not there.
Now you teach in public school.
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
And you actually, maybe we don't want to talk about what districts you've worked in, but you have hopped district to district fairly recently, correct?
Yeah, I've been in three different. So this is my 5th year of teaching. I've been in 3 districts, 2 different kind of grade levels, and also a variety of like big urban district, small suburban district.
Okay.
What
so.
subject do you teach?
So I currently teach science.
Nice.
Now you taught social studies though before, right?
Yeah, so my first assignment, I was 4th grade, science, social studies, and health. And then that was my first 2 years of teaching. And then my 3rd year was 4th grade reading and writing and social studies. And then the last year and this year will be 8th grade science.
Okay,
Gotcha.
cool. Now, how's 8th grade science?
I love it. Never thought I'd say that in my life.
Science was my worst subject growing up.
Science was the subject I wanted it to really like, but I just never really got there.
I
I
agree.
loved biology and astronomy, but I couldn't get related to anything else. More like I loved everything else, but I just couldn't wrap my head around it, you know?
I agree.
Yeah.
So, like, when I was younger, I had a real passion for, like, I read that they had trouble finding ways to get rid of toxic waste. And I was like, I want to be the guy that discovers how to properly dispose of it.
Yeah.
And they tried all the things that my
like-
ideas came up with.
Oh,
They
no.
tried burying it. They tried...
The first thing you thought of burying it. Hey, teacher, have you thought about making it go away?
I didn't ask him because...
Have you asked the mob?
It was in the books, okay? The books we were reading said they already tried burying it. Why is that so funny?
You made it sound like I wanted to be the guy who thought of the brilliant idea that no one else has thought of. Bury it.
Well, they got crazy with it, okay? They tried to shoot it in space.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
Futurama even touched on that.
Yeah.
Did they really think it was gonna work though? Like shooting it into space?
It's
I
not a
don't
bad
know.
idea. I think they were betting on the atmosphere burning it up.
Sure,
Sure.
it
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Well, actually, no. I wouldn't. No, that sounds like a terrible idea. Okay, because now it's going to start raining on people. You know what I mean?
Hey, they're only terrible ideas after they're proven to be terrible.
That's fair. Okay. So,
As Caleb would know, little baby Caleb.
you're a
would know.
teacher, but before we get to that, I wanted to touch on these chocolate frogs I had to purchase.
So for an unrelated episode.
Yeah, so this is the aftermath of our last episode. Okay, a bunch of dead chocolate frogs that we had to eat. Okay, I feel
Yeah.
bad for all the environmentalists because we just took out some more frogs. Did I mention the price last episode?
No.
No.
Okay, these were $5 each. These were not cheap. Okay.
So $15 worth of frogs.
But we got a collectible wizard card. See, Garrick Ollivander, I got the wand guy. Y'all both got Merlin. Bet you're very happy about that. You got matching cards.
He is the most famous wizard of all time.
Also a Slytherin, just saying.
He's a Slytherin? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
disappointing.
on Pottermore, that's the... Shut up. On Pottermore, that's like the... Wait, don't cry yet. Merlin was a Slytherin, so you can feel a little bit good about yourself.
But he's evil.
What?
Merlin's evil then?
No, he's not. Oh my gosh, Slytherins aren't
Slytherins
evil.
are not evil.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're
the
not.
worst.
Slytherins are not. No, just all the Slytherins in these books are.
All right, so most of y'all know me by now. Y'all know that I don't like Harry Potter that much. I think that's a level of nerdom that I'm not ready for. I'm not ready to embrace yet. Okay, I've been to Harry Potter World, but under disguise. Okay.
He had invisible cloak.
I had my own pseudonym, just like J.K. Rowling. I went into hiding. All right. Sydney, you remember when I bought your wand? I got it from Harry Potter World.
Yep.
And I was very embarrassed to walk up to the guy.
And the guy's like, hello.
Yeah.
Honestly, that makes me happier than even the gift itself. It's that you were embarrassed to get it.
Yeah. I had to one pop into the store.
Would you like a comet or a firebolt? And you're like, please just give me the stick. I want the stick.
I didn't think to look for the brooms.
Ooh,
That would have been worse to walk out with.
It's like holding it in your legs. Oh, look at me. Whee!
I got the firebolt.
It's the
Or what if I was poor and could only afford the Nimbus 2001?
Oh gosh, I'm a total Ron.
Yeah. So I had to walk in there, right? And I had my hood on.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, can I get one of your wands?"
That's even more lame, Caleb.
And he's like, which one do you want?" And it was very embarrassing that I knew which one I wanted. Okay. I was like, "Which one is for a Ravenclaw?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not sure which one that is." And I was like, oh, "Don't make me say it."
I need to hear you. The magic won't work unless you believe.
He's like, "I'm not sure," because they weren't like clearly. Was yours marked? Did it say Ravenclaw?
It did, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
sweet. That's awesome.
Okay, because I was like,
And you're like, no.
that's gonna be the. Was it you? You would.
I'll be honest, I don't remember the name of it. I just
Okay.
remember it does say like Ravenclaw, and I was like, oh, that's thoughtful. Like
Okay,
he knows
yeah.
my house, and
I think I'd ask you.
No, you should have been like, listen, I know we know nothing about the Ravenclaws, but like, what is their, which wand is theirs?
But it's like upsetting that he has to keep asking me questions, and I have to know the answer. I have to know some Harry Potter trivia
That's hilarious.
to get the perfect gift
Was
for
that
somebody.
was that intentional?
What?
Like him asking specifics like that, or
No, he
just
wasn't.
didn't
He
know.
wasn't Mr. Garrick Ollivander trying to figure out what wand worked for me. Okay. Now, what was kind of cool about Harry Potter World was like if you had the wand, you had to stand in certain places, and you could like do the thing, and then it would like shoot water out of something, so it made it look like you did something.
dude,
with
that
your wand.
sounds awesome.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. So
He acts like he's such a
I didn't.
hater.
I didn't do
Yeah.
it.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, I wasn't the.
I mean, it's like really cool or whatever. But
I would have
didn't
had to
do
use.
it.
I would have had to be seen using her wand.
Okay, Caleb. Caleb, I think the fact that you had to disguise yourself is way more lamer than just going up and buying a wand. Like, you had to wear a freaking costume.
I stand by my decision.
That's way more childish than like just walking up and asking for a wand.
Okay. The other thing I had to do when buying these frogs was like. So the first thing I did was I had to get 3 of them. Okay.
You went to Hallmark for this, right?
I did. I went to Hallmark, and
Oh,
I noticed
Hallmark.
these were $4.99 each. I was like, "Oh my god!" So I grabbed 3 of them, and I walk up to the lady, and she's like, "Oh, you throwing a party?" And I was like,
with 3 of them.
Oh, do you have?
Yikes.
Are you having fun with Ron and Hermione later?
and she didn't stop there, did she?
No.
Okay, you weren't there, but I was like, I'm trying to keep it short.
Okay.
And then she's like, "So I mean, what do you got going on?" And I was like,
Please don't subscribe.
"Yeah." I was like, I didn't even bother telling her it was for a show.
Yeah. Oh no.
No, I was just like,
I'm just
so-
hanging out with some friends.
Yeah, are you celebrating something? I was like, close enough, you know. Was I mean? Probably.
Close enough.
Yeah. But I'm not sure. And she wouldn't quit asking me.
It's probably like this sweet, like 80-year-old lady. Oh my.
No, she was young.
Oh.
She was taller than me, though, so that was
Was she cute?
intimidating.
You could have used that.
If they're taller than me, I find myself pretty intimidated. So,
Oh man, you could have played off that though. She was asking if you were gonna have fun, like with chocolate frogs, and you'd be like,
I
"Yeah, I can
wasn't.
buy an extra one if you
we were
want."
talking about Harry Potter. I wasn't going to. You know.
Wow.
Plus, if she was a fan, nobody likes it when you start trashing on their favorite series. You know what I mean? Harry Potter is a lot of people's favorite series.
Yeah.
Remember that time, Sydney, we had to do a Harry Potter marathon, and I had to promise her that I wouldn't complain the whole time.
That was the only stipulation that I would watch it with you.
Okay.
Was if you wouldn't complain.
I only understand that because like it can get a like my gosh, Caleb has so many complaints.
Right. And my problem is I don't quit talking while the movie's happening.
Okay, so
it just takes the
if
fun.
it's someone who just hates it, it does take the fun out of it. I don't actually mind. Like for instance, my favorite series is Star Wars, but I don't mind if people gripe on it. I actually find it funny half the time. But people are hating it just to hate it. Like man, they have a.
Well, that's the thing. If someone's funny, I wouldn't mind either.
Right.
But, like, have you sat with someone who's just like no fun? Like,
Yeah,
no
I've sat with
joy?
people who are just like, well, Star Wars is stupid because Star Trek did it better this way, this way, this way. I'm like, they're like two different.
Well, first off, that's not true.
Yeah, it's
Secondly-
like also like they're two completely different things.
Yeah.
So it's like that's not a real complaint.
Right. But like someone who talks the entire time and won't shut up. And
No,
just
that I
complains.
hate that. Again, if it's like two guys just being funny together, like if they want to just be funny, that's fine. But like if it's a group of people trying to enjoy something, then yeah, don't be a heckler.
Well, yeah, see, that's the thing. I'm a heckler, so that I had to be careful about
Yeah.
that while watching Harry Potter.
Honestly.
So I did pretty good that night.
Now, I would
though,
love
so-
watching
You
it.
did.
I would love watching Harry Potter movies with you because I don't even like the movies. So it'd be so, and especially since I've read the books already, like
Yeah.
it'd be so much fun.
Well, you don't want me to say whether I like the later films or not, so I'm going to keep that to myself. But
Okay,
I
gotcha.
have to keep those opinions to myself.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry. But we'll get there. If you come back for book 4, we can talk about it.
Yes.
So I'm thinking we're going to have to split up the Harry Potter episodes into 2, especially with
Yeah.
book 4 being as gigantic as it is. Like, think of this, but times 2.
And then we didn't even get to everything on that book.
No, and I'm actually kind of upset. But I feel like we left out enough to where it wouldn't have carried into a new episode.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was like, ugh.
But next book definitely.
Yeah, we'll split it up. Book 5 has so much in there that has nothing to do with anything. So,
I think we could be more coherent. Like, let's only talk about the first half, and let's only talk about the second
yeah,
half.
that'd be good. So, I don't know.
Are y'all enjoying the Harry Potter series so far with us talking about it?
Yeah.
Have we ruined your childhood? Are
Absolutely
we
not.
improving your childhood?
You're never going to change any nerd's mind. I don't know if you noticed that.
It's a fact.
It is so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, if you like the prequels, you're not going to not like the prequels after talking with me about it. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like this weird thing where, like, even if it's bad, people recognize it's bad. I'm not saying the whole thing, but like, if they recognize issues, most of the time they defend them, just like
Yeah.
without any real reason to.
Oh, the worst people are the ones that make up something to fill in the plot holes themselves.
Yeah, I got a little bit of that last episode actually.
Wait, you mean you did?
No,
I didn't.
no.
Don't look at me.
I heard you say
Did
some
you do it?
things.
About what?
Yeah, what'd she say?
Like towards the beginning, I think I was talking about. I forget what it was exactly. I'll have to rewatch the episode, but it was like something where it wasn't clearly stated in the book. That's the thing. If it's not clearly stated in the book, I'm not going to speculate on the series.
I missed that part, Sydney, where you're filling in the gaps yourself.
I feel like
I have gone to like a lot of different websites. So like you're saying, like going different posts. Like have followed for years like tons of accounts. that
Dementors.
make-
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about Dementors, and you were talking about why they targeted Harry.
Oh, that was just pure speculation on my part of like
Yeah, sure.
maybe this.
Gotcha. So yeah, if it's speculation, that's fine. But some fans will be like, "No, it is this. This
Oh,
is
it's
exactly
canon
why."
and not really.
It was because of the scar in his head. I'm like, no one ever said that though. You know what I'm saying?
No, it was clearly established so that they were feeding off of Harry in particular.
Yeah.
Because he had so much food for them.
I guess. Well, kind of. I mean, a little bit. I don't think anyone actually said why they're targeting him.
Yeah, I guess so. Whatever.
Well, Dumbledore does say. I'm not the same thing. Okay, Dumbledore does say like he warns them, about how Dementors not only like feed off of the people that they're going after, but anyone that stands in their way.
Yeah.
And so like, not that I'm saying Harry stands in their way.
He
but-
doesn't. He does have tragedy, but everyone has tragedy.
Sure.
So I'm like, I doubt Harry's the only one who doesn't have parents. How about Hermione? If anything, like, I'm surprised they didn't target Hermione at all.
She has a she has a witch mom and a regular dude for a dad, right? Or is it
Yeah,
the other
but
way?
like,
In the movies, no, but maybe
She's
the
a
books
mu-
are different.
She's a mudblood.
she is a mudblood.
Yeah, that means that she's entirely Muggle-born.
Oh, so she
Her
has.
parents are. Her dad's like a dentist.
Oh, okay. So she has 2 regular parents.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. You're right. That is true.
That makes sense.
Because that's how Lily Potter was too. Harry's mom.
Oh right.
Okay.
Holy crap.
Well, guys, fast forwarding to later in the episode. All right, Sydney, let's go back more into our checkered backstory. See, we have a dark past that connects us and intertwines our fates. Okay?
It's very dramatic.
Very, very dramatic.
A dark past, I see.
See, I wasn't always the tattooed go happy guy I am today.
Yes.
There was a
True.
time, in fact, I was very blank. Okay? This didn't come until after I met Sydney.
So,
Bad influence.
also for context, I knew
She's
him.
horrible,
I knew
guys.
him before this moment.
That's true. You met me before.
So, like, what he's talking about is like the in between, like the mid-quel Caleb that I didn't really experience, I guess, a whole lot.
It's true. I
So-
wasn't always this confident guy that I am today.
This phase didn't. What he's talking about, I don't think it lasted very
It's
long.
not just a fade, chaps. Okay. Tattoos literally never go away. Long time ago, I was down in the dumps.
Wow.
Okay. Now, granted, me and Sydney weren't really friends yet. Okay, we'd known each other, and we hung out. We hung out in the same friend groups.
Cool.
Yep. But, I'm trying to figure out how to say this without getting emotional.
Emotional.
I was down in the dumps, and Sydney took me to get my first tattoo.
That's true.
Yeah, I was heartbroken after my last relationship. My heart had been scooped out with a spoon and fed to the... Did she have a cat or a dog? She had cats. Yeah. How do you remember that?
You know, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
Cats.
Sounds like a cat thing.
Yeah, so she fed him to the cats. Okay. And on the way home, I confided in Sydney that I was thinking about unaliving myself. You can't say the other word here on YouTube. Okay. So we got tattoos. We actually scooped up a bunch of her friends too. And we all rode to Denton Tattoo Company, and we got this nice little tree here.
Overpriced, but still really cool.
Yeah, how much did you charge me?
Like $300, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like crazy. I was like, there's no way.
So she took me to get my first tattoo, and then honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, fixed all my problems. I felt so much better after that.
Wow.
This one, the one that says inimitable, was her idea. Okay. Can you see?
That's facts.
Yeah. This was her idea. Also, the text, well, actually, no, you would disagree. It doesn't look like that one, right? Is it that one or the other one?
What?
Yeah. I tried to get the font similar to the one you have right there.
Oh, yeah.
And you were like, no, that's not it at all.
It didn't look as good as that one. That one looks better because it has like a thicker line.
It's very masculine, Caleb.
Yeah. What he said.
You know, I had to get a handcuff key to scratch it. I had to get in between the letters because it was so itchy. So,
That's disgusting.
It's very interesting.
it worked.
All right. So you got tatted up.
Yeah.
And
And then,
was
so
your
that was
fix.
my gateway tattoo into all the other tattoos. I couldn't, you couldn't stop me after
Couldn't
that.
stop. No.
No. Yeah.
And then like he only went higher after that.
And actually, I consulted with her on this one. I texted her, what should, how big should it be? And she actually helped me pick it. But safe to say, I would not be here if Sydney had not intervened and taken me out for a girls' night where I got a total makeover.
And then you became a true man.
That's right. So on the air, I want to say thank you, Sydney, for saving me because I was in a very bad place. And the Christmas, she went home. She sent me a nice pair of socks. That was really nice of
And
her.
all you got her in return was a wand.
She also got me into Hamilton the musical.
That's true.
All you gave her in return was
What?
a wand.
That's right. I owe her much more.
You owe her 2 wands.
I have to go back to that shop and
Yeah.
get another one.
Yeah.
No,
Well, now I'm seeing like why you put up with all of this. That's a good friendship if you're just
That's
like
right.
I'm
I
going
had
to. Yeah,
I had
totally
to put up with
understand
it. Why did I go in there and brave it for these frogs? Face the humiliation, the constant questioning. 'Cause-
that. Constant question.
'Cause
It was probably just. So, what are you doing with those? Well, you have a good day. Stop with these questions.
She's like, how are you going to keep these from melting? I was like, I don't know.
She did not. How did you keep them from getting away from you? Oh my gosh, shut up.
I know. She wouldn't leave me alone. She kept harassing me.
So sorry.
Yep.
Is it worth it?
But I don't know. Sydney liked them, so I guess they're okay.
Let me tell you, because I've been with him on many adventures, and he is the belle of the ball with these tattoos. Let me tell you, mostly with women in their mid to late 50s, I would say, most of the time. But he is a stud, let me tell you. I mean, I've seen moms dragged away from him before. You remember what's
Yeah.
That was so great.
Yeah, I forgot we went to State Fair
We
together.
did the state fair, and she was like feeling his arm. It was like this older lady, and the daughter came up. She was like, "Come on, mom, let's go." Stop bothering him.
Tell you, she's not the only mom. This other lady that at my new job, she was like, "Oh, I got a tattoo too."
Wow.
There was like this tiny tattoo that just like you can't really see, And I was like, "We're not the same lady."
Weird.
We're not sick.
Look at this. Look at this. Mine goes up to here.
And then she's like, "Oh yeah, I think my mom has that."
Oh, I hope not.
Oh,
Anyway.
so great. You get the attention now.
It's true.
I don't know if you want the attention, but
I wouldn't mind dating in my 40s. I don't think. I think I'd be okay.
yeah.
Okay, women get more attractive as they get older, so I'd be okay with that.
Cool beans.
Unless Sydney disagrees with me.
Tell me what I feel. Sydney, what do I think? What do I feel? How do I feel about this? Do I date older women or not?
Am I off base here? Am I off key?
I think it'd be really interesting. Like, I don't know, not that I have any experience with it, but I think it'd be interesting dating as an older adult with more experience, more stability, like more whatever.
I don't know. It varies because I've dated older people and they weren't much more secure than me.
True.
Same pay, and she was still living in an apartment.
Nice.
So which isn't bad. It's fine to live in an apartment, but I was just like, okay, I gotta be the breadwinner here. I gotta start saving.
You heard it here.
Was that sexist? Probably.
It was.
You know what, Sydney? You're the only one who ever calls me out on my sexism.
Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to keep me in check, and this woman does it. But yeah, I will say thank you for pulling me out of the dumps, because it was bad. It was pretty bad for a while.
Yeah.
But we got through it. Those socks saved my life.
I just remember the first time, like, I saw them, like, pinned on your wall. And
It's true.
It's like, oh, I just wanted him to wear them.
Socks.
But this is okay, too.
I don't think you went over these socks.
They're Hamilton socks. But the Hamilton you'd see on a $10 bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the one from the play.
I see.
So, did you see the poster my sister-in-law made?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So cool.
That was good. So, all right, let's talk about teaching. We've
Yeah.
killed good 22 minutes of this episode. Teaching.
Yep.
What was it like moving from elementary to middle school?
Yeah, so I can say things now, and, like, the kids aren't going to automatically burst into tears, like, crying. Like, they understand sarcasm, and, like, I can get on their level with, how I talk to them. I do a lot of, your mom jokes, and they look at me, like, horrified.
You're not worried about getting in trouble for any of these?
No. Like, whenever you build that relationship with the kids,
They're not going to say anything. They're
Well-
going to squeal. Yeah.
no, I mean, when you build that relationship with the kids, like, they don't see it as you're being offensive. They see it as, oh, like, you're getting on my level, you understand my language, like, you're going to give as good as you get. Like, they do the same thing.
Would have absolutely turned her in if I was a kid. Like, not even.
I
joking.
actually believe you. This
Not
dude's
even
a snitch.
Not even joking. I would have turned you in. I would have gone. I was like best friends with the principal when I was in elementary school. Like, legitimately.
Have you seen that show Recess?
I mean, no, not really.
You've seen Recess, right?
Yeah. You've
Ran-
never seen Recess?
Randall Weems.
I don't think I was allowed to watch it.
Do you remember Randall Weems?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
kid that just like snitched to the old lady.
Yeah.
Every
So
time.
like,
He's like
legitimately,
hunched over.
No, like if if I felt like my teacher was going down a dark path,
Shaps,
I would go to the principal and be
I
like,
need your help here.
fine?
Do you think that was acceptable behavior?
"What? Oh,
Yeah.
saying your mom jokes
No.
What?
Snitching on a teacher, that's cool.
is acceptable behavior?" In my headcanon, it was.
Okay, but is it now?
I don't know. Depends. It's such a slippery slope nowadays.
That's a yes.
Well, I'm only saying that because the state of public learning right now, there are so many teachers who get away with so much that they shouldn't get away with. So it's almost hard for me to be like, oh, this is okay, this is not, this is okay, this is not. You know what I'm saying?
I wish I could agree with you. Honestly,
It's more of like
I feel like you're focusing on the wrong things.
No, it's more like in the idea that let's just play it safe instead of being on the border. I'd rather play it safe. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that.
That's fair.
No one likes a snitch, Chips.
I'm sorry.
Nobody likes the guy that tells on the teacher, especially the cool
sorry.
ones.
See,
Well, I'm way more confrontational nowadays. Like
I
if
understand.
I disagree with the teacher, I would tell the teacher their
But you
face.
need to pick your battles. There are some things that need to be fought for, and there are some things that don't need to be fought for. You know what I mean?
Hey man, that's fair.
What were you gonna say, Sydney?
well, no, I was just gonna say, like, I understand where he's coming from, and like, as a teacher, I see other teachers the way that they are acting, like they're not building relationships with kids, and then they are just being straight up mean. Like anything that I'm gonna say with a kid, like I have already established a relationship with that kid. Like 9 times out of 10, like I've met their parents. I know, their background. I'm not gonna say anything that's gonna like trigger them into some sort of emotional outburst. Like, that is my personality is joking, is once we've gotten to that, built that rapport, then we implement this other stuff. Like for the first 2 months of school, I am a completely different person. I am
Yeah.
not mean, but I'm very strict, very much like I'm the teacher, you're the student. Like we are not the same. But then after that, once
Yeah.
the relationship is built, it's
See,
different.
Does that put you at ease, Chaps? Do you feel better, or do you still feel like?
I
no?
mean, I still feel how I feel. I mean, like,
Okay.
like in my I just know like a lot of there's a lot of I'm not saying anything against what you just said. That makes a lot of sense. To be fair, I know that, and you were probably speaking to this as well. There's a lot of fear right now when it comes to the public education system, specifically between teachers and parents, that I hear about a lot. So I don't have any kids, so I don't really know how that feels, to put a child in public education system or to teach, mind you. But I just know that there's a lot of stories right now, just like these parents too, going after teachers, or teachers just like doing things that are completely not okay.
Yeah.
And a lot more parents are considering homeschooling nowadays just for that. And a lot of it also has to do with public education system being a lot more strict and controlling of what is taught. Some may say the word agenda. Some may
I was gonna say that,
yeah.
that has nothing to do with like the teachers.
No, what I'm saying is
necessarily.
to finish what I'm saying,
Yeah.
it's create a rift of trust between parents and teachers now.
Sure.
And so what I mean is there's a thin line that can easily be crossed, I would say, when it comes to like how teachers are with other parents' kids.
Yeah.
And it's only getting thinner and thinner and thinner the more that the trust gets taken away. So, in my opinion, I always err on the side of safety. Just be safe. Play it by, rule of thumb. But that's just me if I was in this situation. Everyone's different. So, yeah.
Okay.
No, I would not snitch. I don't believe in snitching. But I do believe in, preserving integrity.
That's the thing. The rift you're talking about is more so like people are so concerned about the left agenda being taught in schools. They're talking about the woke agenda, the what's it called with teaching. What is it? The race stuff.
Critical race theory.
Critical race theory. People are so concerned about that, which you would argue is not real, right?
I would it is real. Critical race theory is real.
Okay.
Taught in post-secondary elective classes.
Okay.
Like they're
So you have to choose to sign up for it.
right.
Okay.
9 times out of 10, that's where you're gonna find it.
Okay.
That 1 time out of 10, I don't know where else. But
Now, if you've ever gotten a class schedule, Shaps, they let you pick your courses, and there's so many you can pick from. They got tons of teachers for different languages. They got tons of different electives you can pick from. There's so many options in public school for you to pick from, as opposed to when I was in private school and there's like not a lot of options. You know
Well,
what I mean?
so when I was in school, I didn't get those options
Right.
either. And I was actually public schooled until like 5th grade. So
Yeah.
that being said, this rift I'm talking about, I think parents were a lot more trusting of pretty much 90% of public schools back when I was in school, maybe
Yeah.
even before that. Like, whatever the school wants, that is what you're going to do. That's what you're going to be taught. Homeschooling, the reason it's gotten way more popular is because people either don't trust the school system anymore, or they just feel like they could do it better. In a lot of the ways they can. A lot of ways they can't. I just know that the way culture is right now, my fear is, and again, don't take this as a like criticism. It's more like my fear is all it takes is one student to without context, go to the parent and say, this teacher said this.
Sure.
And the parent would take that way overboard or blow that way out of proportion. And then like that teacher could get fired or called canceled or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it's so easy nowadays for things to be blown out way out of proportion because there's so much of a rift between trust. It doesn't matter what they're teaching. The fact that there is a lack of trust, essentially.
Yes, but
So does that make more...
yeah. So where's the line then? Because like, should
I think it's getting progressively thinner is what I'm trying
I
to say.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree with you because like
So no, I don't think what you're doing is wrong at all.
Yeah.
I'm just like...
on one hand, you got
like,
parents who should be listening to their kids,
Mm-hmm.
but on the other hand, you got kids coming home saying just the darndest things. you
Yeah,
know,
and then
where
the
it's like
parents-
that could be blown out of proportion.
There are some parents who are just looking for an excuse to get mad, you know?
I guess so.
So
They're looking
like...
for that reason to pull their kid out of school.
Well, for instance, like there are parents, which I get it, even their kids, but like there are some parents who are like, I don't care about asking the teacher's side of it or the teacher's perspective.
Right.
I'm going to go straight to the principal. So here's the thing: I'm actually fighting against what I used to think. You asked me before, would I do that again? No, I'm not a snitch. I don't believe in going above people's heads to solve conflict. I should think adults should be able to solve conflict themselves.
Sure.
So
So you go to the teacher with your problem.
yeah, that's well, not even like with a problem. More like, hey, my kid said this. Just want to get your side of it. And if they deny it straight up, then I'd be like, okay, well, like my kid doesn't make stuff up, you know. Or of course, I'm going to believe my kid, you know, over the teacher, even if the kid's lying. Like, if the kid doesn't have a track record of lying, you know, assuming that, be like, okay, well, now we have a bit more of an issue. Like,
What's your defense, Sydney? You're the teacher here. This
So-
angry parent has just come up to your classroom and he wants a conference with
okay,
you.
fair, like make it fair. Like, hey, I saw you after school. I'm like, hey, could we connect sometime? Because my kid says something. I just want to clear the air about something.
Yeah, so like 9 times out of 10, whenever I have a situation where a parent wants clarification on something, this last year it was cell phones.
Okay.
That was the biggest issue. Was, you know, like, why are you taking my child's cell phone? Well, they're on it while I'm teaching.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that if a kid comes to me and is like, hey, can I use it in this emergency? Like, I need to get my lunch, or, you know, my grandma's not doing well. Like, I am not going to be some, you know, jerk and say, no, you can't.
Right.
Ever.
You're not going to be a Snape, are you?
Right. No, I mean, but at the same time, like, our school does have a cell phone policy.
Yeah.
And my personal classroom policy is I'm going to give you 2 warnings before I actually take it to the office,
Yeah.
which is what I should do the first time. Because then there's like a fee to get the cell phone back. You know, they have
It's
to.
almost like protecting them in a way, like so you don't have to go through the red tape and the bureaucracy of it. You're just like, no, like my law, you know, my individual law is this. And
Right.
if you break that, then we have to go more federal with this.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah, so like that would be, I think, my go-to as an adult now. Like if my kid was having a problem, like I would go to the teacher now. That's not how I was before. Before I was, well, again, this is little kid me, but I would even argue like a few years ago me, I would probably go like above their head, above the superior, you know, immediately and say, hey, this is an issue. But like nowadays, I'm like, nah, that doesn't solve issues.
Right.
That only just causes more, like it causes unnecessary drama, especially if you can just settle it on a equal level, like at the very bottom of the bar. But yeah, so
Did she handle it in a way you were happy with? You were satisfied with her teaching abilities and her conferencing skills? Were you happy?
what was I happy? Well,
She just told you why she took your son's cell phone.
she didn't take my son's cell phone. My
Are
son
you saying your
said,
kid's not a liar?
my son said that you told him that his mom something. I don't know what it was, but let me tell you, my mom was a great woman, and his mom was a great woman. And, no, so
Well, let me tell you,
It
she-
reminds me.
She probably did say that because she does that to me all the time.
It reminds me when I was a kid on the playground. Kids would tell me your mom jokes, and I would start crying because I was like, "Don't talk about my mom."
Shaps, I
That
think
was
you
also
have
very
other
s-
issues going on.
That's
I
what
don't
I
think
was
there's
about to
anything to do with
say.
teachers.
I was also a very stupid child, but being a stupid child who would go to the parents and say, "They said all these horrible things about you." Well, what'd they say? They said you're a mom. Like, yeah, kids are just stupid. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it's perfectly acceptable as long as they explain, you know, like what their methodic process was and like why they did it, what the policy is. Like, I'm also very pro policy, so like if that is the
Yeah.
policy, like absolutely, like I'm not going to argue with that. You know,
Sure.
like if I truly don't like it, I can take my kids somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like it's not your responsibility, you know, to make me happy. Like, so no.
Say it again.
Now, all right, Sydney. We all know that teachers are underpaid.
Amen to that.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Nobody disagrees with you. Nobody. Well, I'm sure
I
there are
don't
people
know like,
that.
who on earth disagrees. Or,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
it's
sure
just-
there are some that are like, "Oh no, it's your job."
There always will be, but
Yeah.
like,
Sure.
This is
yeah.
what you signed up for. You know.
And it is. Like, it is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be, here and say all these things about, like, well, I don't care about the money. Like, I got bills to pay, dude. Like, you know? But to give you a real, like, tangible example. So we got a 1% raise this year.
Oh,
It's
no.
like whopping $46 a
And
month.
how much was inflation?
Between 2022 and 2023 was like I think like 8.5%.
Oh my gosh.
So that was our raise. But our basic medical insurance, which it was like $100 last year, is now $127.
Oh.
So really,
What did you get?
So-
it's like nothing.
I heard, I mean, I know a couple teachers actually, and they say that the kind of trade off between the low pay is good pension. Is your pension at least really good?
To be honest, I'm not relying on pension or Social Security just because. Is it even going to be here whenever I'm however old I got to be to retire now?
Sure.
So I do my own Roth IRA.
Okay, smart,
But-
smart. Because she's right. Because pension they have access to, they can dip into if they need to.
Right.
Right? Am I correct in saying that?
Again, I haven't really looked into it. I'm just not counting on the government.
I agree. No, I agree with her. Okay.
I don't know if that's completely accurate, but yeah, it can change definitely. I don't know if they can just straight up take all of it. I don't think that's how it works, but it is something that has to be invested, if that's what you're saying.
Dallas PD had an issue with that, where a lot of guys were eligible to retire, but there was no money in their accounts.
Yeah, because probably there was like because it's not like a bank where they
Right.
put the money away. It's
Yeah.
an investment that goes
Right.
up and down. So
And it went down.
which stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, pensions aren't good. What about tenure? How does tenure work?
How do you mean?
Doesn't that work towards protection for teachers or anything?
I can't speak to the only two states I'm really familiar with are Pennsylvania and Texas.
Which is where you're from. You're
right.
from Pennsylvania.
Where I'm from, where I did my student teaching, got my degree, and then, here I've actually been only taught in Texas. As far as tenure, at least with where I'm at right now, we get 1-year contracts.
Okay.
And that doesn't really, nothing, how long you've been with a district, doesn't really, I don't think there's really a whole lot of benefit to it. I think our 5-year people got, a pin.
Oh.
It's nothing like...
I get a letter every 5-year increments.
nice.
So I got my 5-year mark at my current place of employment, and I got a nice little note.
Did you pin that somewhere?
It's in my desk drawer somewhere.
Nice.
So yeah, it was pretty nice. So many people wrote talking about how much they appreciated me.
Oh,
It's like, oh, I feel it right here.
that's nice.
I don't feel it in my wallet though.
Could you have had at least a gift card? A Hallmark gift card.
Yeah, I got some frogs I need to pay for.
I've got frogs to pay, man.
But yeah. Okay, so that's why you're okay with hopping from district to district.
Yeah, there's that. There's the fact that, just different districts have different appeal. I told you I was in a really large urban district my first 2 years, and I hated it because I was a number. There's 86 schools in that district. 86.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so for me, I was like, I want to be somewhere smaller, more of a community. And so I went to a smaller school, and then, that has its own set of issues. And so now I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, where, it's not super small, it's not super big, and I kind of feel like I've hit a sweet spot.
So what's the average number of teachers per school that you've been a part of? Is there an average, or has it been drastically different every time?
No, the number of teachers is pretty much the same. So depending on the number of grade levels, that will differ. But, at the middle school, it's 4 to 5 teachers per subject per grade. So there's 8 science teachers at our school. There's, a little bit more ELA and math because we do some more intervention work. So there's 10 there per grade. And so the middle school's a little bit bigger than the elementary, but the elementary is four
So
or 5 classes per
in
grade.
Texas, it's different. In Louisiana, we didn't have intermediate school, and then middle school. What was it? It was, I think, the school I went to was kindergarten to, I want to say 6th grade, all in
Okay.
one school.
Sure.
And then it went up from there, which was interesting because when I got here, it's oh my gosh, there's so many different schools you have to go to. Elementary intermediate, middle, high, and then like so that's 4. Yeah, it's a lot of schools and just a lot of teachers, to think about. So yeah, I can very easily see you falling into that like number category. Just like,
Yeah.
how do I get noticed? How does that work? Like, so say some teachers want to put in extra effort. Like, say they want to move up or make more of their career, right? Mm-hmm. Do you just teach really well? Do you have like, if you're, your passing grades, are higher than the other teachers? Like, is that how it works? Or is there more to it than just the classroom?
So I guess it kind of depends on what kind of...
Like, what can you do as an individual, essentially, to move up a little bit?
Yeah, so you can get a master's degree in ed leadership so that you can get your principal certification. And that's if you want to, go into admin. And honestly, it just depends on what your end goal is. Like, if you want to be an instructional coach, that's not so much like a vertical movement as like lateral movement, because you're just working in a different part of education.
Sure. Doesn't come with a pay raise either.
Kind of does, because you're working less hours overall. And you can kind of like leave your work at work versus like teaching, like you take it home.
Yeah.
I think, you can, there's coaching, that's a whole other side of it too.
Oh, you're a coach, I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
What do you coach?
Yeah. What?
What do you coach?
So at the middle school level, it's 3 sports.
Okay. You have to do 3?
You will usually, where I'm at now, you do 3.
Okay.
And in our district, it's 3.
Okay.
So I'm volleyball is like my primary that I kind of oversee.
Which she used to play.
Yes.
Okay, so she went from player to teacher.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Anyway.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And then basketball, which is growing on me. I really like it. And then
nice.
Track. So I coach discus.
Awesome. That's awesome.
That's cool.
She's very active. She does that so much. She has no time to hang out with us on weekends anymore. It's disappointing. She can't come to anything we do anymore.
Didn't you know that part of being Kale's friend is you have to make him happy?
Yeah. At least once a month. And if you don't, you get the frog.
But the frog is a reward. I like the frog.
For me, it's a punishment.
You get your treat for hanging out with me. You gotta beg though.
And then he tells you how much he spent on you.
That's rude. You always pay me back.
Yeah.
So it's all good. But anyway. Yeah. Okay, so what is your end goal then? Do you have one? Because you got your master's degree. I remember that ceremony. We could only tune in online. So I met you.
Limited tickets.
Yeah, which I didn't get.
I had family in town for the first time ever.
That's messed up.
So
That's wrong. I felt so kicked out. Was that because of COVID though? They were giving out limited seating.
I also think so. Part of it was because that commencement was spring of 21, so kind of like we're still in it a little bit. And then part of it also was just the space. It wasn't a very big auditorium.
Okay.
And they also had the undergrads, so like everybody was together. It wasn't like UTA, for example, has like a really big, like they go to the stadium, they do this whole thing. So.
Can I ask you, and then it's okay if you don't want to answer or if you are offended by the question. Do you think it was worth getting a master's degree for where you were working?
It is, yes, because so it comes with like a small stipend, which I mean it's not primarily why I did it. I primarily did it because my goals as far as where I want to be. I still want to be like teaching for a minute, because what is something that frustrates me as an educator is whenever there are people who are in positions of leadership who were like, I was in the classroom for 3 years back in like 1982. And I'm like, teaching is very different in 2023 than it was then. So that's a frustration that I have. So for me, like, I want to make sure that I am teaching and that I know, the ins and outs of the classroom before I get into that position. Okay. So my master's is in curriculum and instruction. Okay. And so eventually, like, developing curriculum, working as an instructional coach, possibly going into, like, education law and policy like that is something that I would love to go into as, get older.
And then, like, talk about, try to rewind a little bit, just so it makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, so again, my master's is in curriculum and instruction, and so what I want to go into eventually, like this is what I need that as part of it. I need the it's okay. That eventually I want to go into either, instructional coaching, maybe like, assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, like leading in that way. Just because I am so passionate about, having comprehensive instruction, comprehensive curriculum that's like going to set a standard for education. Like right now, I know that people are like, oh, there's an agenda. Like, we wish there was an agenda. We wish there was something that was more than just, hey, here's a set of standards that you have to teach, now figure it out.
Right. I very much agree. There isn't as strong of an agenda in public schools, like everyone says. What they do is they focus on the very shorts that they find on TikTok or YouTube shorts, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is being taught everywhere. You know what I mean? I just don't agree. And a big problem in church I see is they'll keep pushing these fake agendas that whatever offending party, that they just don't agree with, they just pretend like, oh, look what the other side's pushing. Look at this. Look at this agenda, and it's not there.
Regardless if you know it's real, regardless if you agree with it or not, it's undeniably a problem because that's their perception. It has nothing really to do with what's fact or what's fiction anymore.
Sure.
The perception is schools are indoctrinating kids.
Right.
How do you deal with that to the everyday? Because you can't just say it's not real and then move on with your life. Eventually, it gets so bad to where schools actually have to do something just because the perception is that.
Right.
What do you do with that? So you as a teacher, I don't know if you have to deal with that ever, but if you do, then how do you deal with that?
Well, she sat in church before and texted me like, "This is this is ridiculous."
And I think what's the most frustrating thing is that like people don't ask teachers like that we are not a part of the conversation. They're just like, oh yeah, teachers, like you're over there, but like our issue is with the education, as if it's like this big monster lurking in the closet or whatever. And so passing a microphone to teachers would be so informative. Like, you ask a teacher, what the problem really boils down to is that the same people who are perpetuating this, like, there's an agenda, all teachers are, like, after our kids, like, with, sex education or whatever it might be. Because there's, no shortage of hot topic issues in education today. I don't know if you've, But, like, they don't ask teachers. They don't, like, sit down and say, like, hey, what is really happening?
Well, on that as well, I'm sure, it's the same way probably with cops. Like, you have some really bad teachers that go to TikTok or social media 100%. And they make it way worse.
Yeah.
They kind of almost spread that false narrative for no reason, and they make it worse for everyone across the board.
I agree.
So, it's just a problem with perspective and just social media. I think that's ruining both sides almost, So there is definitely, I can't deny there's definitely like a rift in trust, but like it's unwarranted because they didn't need to be that way. Like,
no.
I'd much rather talk to the teacher in person if I had an issue or if my child had an issue than going to the school board, or going to the principal or taking my kid out because of one bad thing, which kind of what happened to my parents with me and my parents. But so well, my heart goes out to you guys. Definitely. So even though I didn't really like school growing up, I've grown to really appreciate the good teachers.
Sure.
Just like cops, there are a lot of bad ones, but there are also a lot of good ones, and there are a lot of people who will actually put things in your head that will really carry on. So
sure.
I had a really, really terrible experience with a teacher one time, and that kind of harpened my just view on teachers and as a whole. I think my whole life, but I remember the really good teachers as well. My favorite one was a music teacher actually in the 3rd grade, which is the reason I love music. And I don't actually do music. I just appreciate it so much because she was so passionate about it, and I loved how she shared her passion. Didn't force it. She shared her passion. She
just
explained.
had a crush on her.
She was not. No, she was like grandma age. So it was more like wow, me as a kid, who's still trying to figure out what my interests are.
Sure.
Hearing an adult just be so passionate about something, it made me want to appreciate that. And she didn't really just play music, and that wasn't what it was. It was listening to music that she was passionate about. And that's when I started falling in love with music. And she taught me how to still was something I do today. She taught me how to think while I'm listening, not just about what's being said, but what you see.
Absolutely.
So nowadays, when I do a little bit of creative writing, and I always listen to music while I write because of that, because of her. So I'm like, Miss Rosetta, I think her name was.
Oh yeah, she doesn't sound attractive at all.
She
Miss
wasn't.
Rosetta.
Ouch.
She wasn't. No, I was attracted to my.
All right, we'll have to get into that.
No, just saying. There was a college student. She was like my counselor, sort of, but like, yeah, just saying.
You didn't have to just say that. That was unnecessary details.
Sorry. She popped in my head. I was like,
Careful
man,
if you're Shaps' teacher. He's probably crushing on you.
I wonder what she did. No. So yeah. I also had this great teacher named Miss. I also had this great teacher named Miss Young, who was just like my
She was the opposite of the old teacher you were just talking about.
opposite. I wouldn't say opposite, but she was very different. But she kind of helped. So I very much appreciate order and hierarchy and just following the rules, right? She appreciated that. Like, she very much was like very kind, but also kind of strict. It was like the first like strict school authority in my life.
Yeah.
But I saw the good fruits of it.
Sure.
And it actually helped me get better. And she liked me so much. She had a picture of me like on her desk. I found out the next year, and she was really sad to see me go. I was like, oh man. And then like she moved up a grade, and she was like, oh, I only moved up because of you. I mean, she was lying, but I was like, I felt special about that, you know. Like,
It's kind of creepy. Am I crazy, Sydney?
okay.
I think it's all in the delivery. Like, I can totally see that being a totally kosher conversation. Like I would, my last group of fourth graders, I would have looped up with them in fourth grade had I not had the opportunity to teach and coach. Just because, I mean, they were such good kids. I loved them. I loved their parents. Like, we just had a really good classroom community.
Now,
So,
my fourth grade teacher ruined it all for me, unfortunately.
I'm so sorry.
Wait a minute, you teach fourth grade?
I did.
Did you ruin his life?
No.
Came way
This
after.
lady was a Christian.
Oh, I want to bring that
Was
up,
she?
Sydney. So, how come you, as a Christian, have chosen not to teach in a private school that is run by Christians?
Yeah, I get this question a lot.
And that's a good question, I think.
It is. And I think I wish more people would actually ask that instead of saying, once they find out I teach in public schools, and being like, oh, I'm so sorry.
How can you do that?
Like, you're so brave. Like, I'm just doing, like, I'm doing my job. Every kid everywhere needs a good influence in their life.
Right.
I have always been called to public schools. I have been both a public and a private school student. So I've seen both sides of it. And while, like, I would totally be fine teaching in a private school, that I just personally, like, feel like where I am supposed to be is the public school.
Right.
Okay.
And that's a very satisfactory answer.
That's good. Do you feel like that public is more competitive or less competitive than private school?
How do you mean?
I know you have to you can't just sign up to be teaching in a private school, right? You
Sure.
have to, yeah. So like, it's something you have to probably work towards, I'd imagine. And also moving up, sort of getting the right classes, getting the right hours or whatever. So in public school, do you find that you have to compete with teachers ever, or to get noticed, or to get certain classes, or how does that all work?
I think
Like, how do you choose? Like, I know you don't really get to choose everything, but you get to choose kind of what you get to teach sometimes, right?
so so the science that I teach, we have two levels. You have on-level science, and then you have honors science.
Yeah.
And so the two teachers that do have those honors courses, have been there longer, have more experience teaching, and so it makes sense that they would teach the honors classes.
Okay, so it's more by merit and
Sure.
hours. I get it. Cool.
Why is honors easier than regular classes?
Behavior. Like, on the on levels, you're not just dealing with you're dealing with a really wide range of, like, intellectual capabilities, and part of that too is emotional. So, like, if a student is really, really low academically, they might be more prone to act out in class because they don't understand, and they don't have that coping skill to say, hey, I don't understand, can you explain this again? And so they just, talk to their friends, or, pace around the back of the classroom, or ask to go to the bathroom 50 times a day. So,
So another question I have is, with mental health being so prominent in our culture
Sure.
now, and everyone's an expert, as you know,
Right.
right?
Right.
TikTok tricked me into buying a bunch of stuff to tape your mouth shut when you sleep. And you
Yeah.
breathe through your nose.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that. What was it, last week? Or,
Yeah, it's fake.
yeah.
It doesn't work. I woke up with worse headaches than ever in my entire life.
So yeah, everyone's an expert, as you can see.
Yeah.
So with it being so sensitive nowadays, I know you're not. Well, I don't know. Actually, you're with your year. Sounds like it's like that's where like it starts, right? With mental health, like either breakdown or succession. How do you respond now to kids who are showing signs of just? I don't know if you see breakdown a whole lot, but do you see more of that now, or do you think it's still like only one or two kids in your class maybe who have issues mentally, or have social conflicts, or they have a lot of trouble communicating? Because when I was in school, they weren't like looking for that.
Sure.
The teachers weren't saying, "Oh, that kid has issues here. Let's get him tested for some things," or "You should get him tested for some things." It was more like, "Okay, we're gonna put you in this corner because you have trouble with like sound or whatever. So we're gonna put you in this corner away from everyone." That was essentially the solution. Is that different now? So say a kid has really a hard time just communicating and being cooperative in the classroom.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that teachers are kind of this first line of defense for recognizing
Right.
things that are not neurotypical or developmentally, normal for their age group. So as somebody, like we all have mental health, regardless of whether, there's something that's abnormal or whether it's, perfectly typical, So, whenever I'm in the classroom, there are obviously students that come to me who already have, whatever labels it might be, ADHD, autism, emotional disturbance, like whatever it is, they come to me that way. And so you have students on the other hand that have fallen through the cracks. Maybe they've, gone between districts, or, parents haven't signed documentation, whatever that might be. So me as a teacher, I'm constantly documenting.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like all day kind of this running record of, this student responded this way to whatever antecedent, it was. I opened the blinds and then they went crazy, as an example.
Common consensus for me, based on people I've talked to, is that they had very similar experiences where the teachers just wouldn't do that. Here's the thing. That was my perspective. They could have very well been documenting things I didn't realize.
Sure.
So, I know you haven't been in school for as long as I was in school. I'm saying, like, you haven't been there for 20 years, 20, 30 plus years,
Correct.
right? So you can't probably tell me definitely, what has changed.
Sure.
But do you know if it's more prominent? Have you been trained more in certain areas that you probably didn't think you were going to be trained in concerning like mental health? Or I'm trying to figure out whether or not it's always been kind of the same standard, or if there are more precautions or less precautions nowadays.
So I would say that whenever I was in my junior, senior year of high school, I would say that's whenever kind of the language started to become more commonplace in school, so much so that I as a student recognized it. And so that to me sees like, okay, the teachers are also talking about it.
Gotcha.
Part of my background is special education. So with that comes more training in recognizing different behaviors and abnormal things that are happening. But we do have district-wide mental health training. We do have district-wide initiatives that do like go towards tracking, where students are able to actually log in and record, hey, how are you feeling today? And this has actually saved several kids' lives.
That's interesting. I didn't see that at all. So that's actually really cool.
Yeah. So definitely increase in what's been happening as far as mental health initiatives in school. But it's not to like, I think that's another thing that's been, kind of this hot topic is mental health.
Yeah.
And people are like, it's up to me to educate my kids. And, we're kind of over here as teachers like, well, if it was up to you to like, what have you done?
Right.
Your kid has no coping skills. Like they cry as soon as they get anything less than 100%.
So a lot of parents will deny that there is anything wrong with their kids, and then
100%.
you as a teacher can't do anything. Like just.
And that's the part where documentation comes in.
Right.
It's like I've learned the hard way that like you have to keep track of every single thing that happens in the classroom,
Goodness.
because whenever you come and you say like, hey, like you should get your child tested for XYZ, the parent's gonna deny.
Right.
But if you've been observing these things and you've had, the diagnostician come in and also observe those things, then it's like it comes down to the parents just denying their kids services that could, help them in their education and just in life in general. So
Yeah.
Guys, that's all the time we have for today. I apologize for
Sad.
cutting it short, but that was a very good discussion, I think, on education. Sydney, thanks for coming on.
Thank
Did
you
have fun
for
today?
educating us.
Yeah, I'm a lot smarter now than I was before we started. Thank you.
I was like that guy, and now
Yeah.
No.
Now I'm like that guy. Did you have fun, Sydney?
yeah, this was a lot of fun.
I knew it. Knew she'd like it.
have we ever had a bad experience yet?
I don't think so, but I think she's higher up on the guest tier list than some other people we've had. Not pointing any fingers. And I'm not going to say any names, but you know
Wow.
who you are and how much I
Wow.
hated interviewing you. So
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about now. Yeah. You
Yeah.
think about that.
yeah, let it stew. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Goodbye.
Hi.